Good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's cooking demo where I'll be making pumpkin muffins, a highly requested recipe. I think over the years, I would get the periodic request for pumpkin muffins. And I did try making pumpkin muffins at least one time in the past, and they were kind of tricky because pumpkin is kind of heavy. So you have to use, and dates as well, and these flowers. So you have to use some leavening to get them to rise up. But I finally cracked the code, I think. So I'm really excited to show you how to make these today. So say hello in the comments if you can see me and if you can hear me. And as soon as we get a few people in, we will get going. Hi, Jennifer from Scotland. What time is it in Scotland? Wow, I'd love to go to Scotland. I've never been to Scotland or Ireland. Hi, Shane. Hi, Jean. So fun to see you guys. This is my social opportunity, you know. Living with 3 cats. They're not as well, they're social in a cat way, but hey, Millie. I wish we could all just get together someday and have a big party and meet each other in person. 5 p.m. in Scotland. Okay, not too bad. Hi from Montana. Hi, Diane. Hi, Anna. Hi, Lynn. I-58 Farms. What do you sell at I-58 Farms, or what do you grow there? All right, welcome you guys. We'll get started here in a minute. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Charlene. Yeah, a party would be so fun. Hey, Lynn, you have 4 cats. I have 3 cats. They're the best. I love them. On days like today where I'm getting ready to do these videos, they just look at me like I'm an alien. Like, what are you doing in that kitchen? All right. I saw you at one of Chef AJ's conferences in Vegas. Thanks, Colleen. Oh, I know, that was so long ago. That was a highlight of my year when I would go to Vegas and present at Chef AJ's event. I love Chef AJ. She is such an awesome supporter of other people in this community and other teachers. Hi, Apple 369, Vancouver, BC. I've never been to Vancouver. I got to get there. Hi, Lisa. Love your cookbook. Thanks, Colleen. Yes, here it is, the Straight Up Food Cookbook. All right. So we've got 34 people watching. Hi, Colleen. Oh, I already said hi, Colleen. Hi, Colleen. You get 3 highs. Okay, so I guess I will go ahead and get started. A lot of you guys are regulars, so you know how this works. If you have any questions as I'm going along, just let me know. I will check in periodically, and I have a friend helping me moderate. So if I mention something, she will put it in the comments. And I just heard my camera turn off up here. So let me check that while more people are joining. I thought I checked that battery, but I am going to put new batteries in just to be extra safe. So I always have an extra one at the ready. All right. There we go. Okay, we're back in business. Yay. Hi, Linda. Love your cookbook. Thank you. Okay. Your camera is showing great. Thanks, Rebecca. Rebecca's my helper. Okay, so there are so many little things that can happen when you're doing a live demo. All right, you guys, so we're going to get started. and I'll check in with the comments. So today we are making my newest recipe, pumpkin muffins. And baking is so tricky. I've made these many times, but they turned out delicious, like on the 8th time. So these are on my website. It's straightupfood.com, which is the same name as my cookbook here. So if you want to go there and see a picture of them, you can do that. And they're right on the homepage. So they are not in the cookbook because the cookbook's been out for 5 years. But this is the cookbook in case you're interested. There's lots of other great things in here. And if you're not familiar with the cookbook, and I'll have Rebecca put the link to where you can pick up a copy of the cookbook if you want. But it lays nice and flat, which I know everybody loves. And it's 100% plants, no added salt, oil, or sugar. And it's also gluten-free, just in case you want that. But I put some Post-its on a couple pages that I thought you might find interesting, even though the muffins aren't in here. There is a sweet potato pecan pie recipe in here that you can also make it into a pumpkin pie. And then there's some cookies. And then also of the pumpkin persuasion is some pumpkin pie squares that are super easy to make. And there they are. Okay, so check out the book if you like. It's a very nice, high quality book with a spiral cover and lots of full color pictures that I took all the pictures. And in the back is all of the nutritional information. If you are a person that likes to know how many calories, what's the sodium, all this kind of stuff. So I will go ahead and just set this here while I'm working. Okay. The oatmeal cookie recipe in the book has saved me a few times. Thank you. Yeah, I only put the good recipes up in the book on the website. So check them out. My specialty is making, for the most part, familiar recipes and just giving them a makeover and making them health promoting. Yay. And also with an emphasis on being able to share them with people who may not eat this way and that they will still like them. So, all right, so let's get started with the pumpkin muffins. So the first step is, and I'm just going to set this maybe right here for now, is to get the dates, the non-dairy milk, and the vanilla in a cup or a bowl. What I do is I just measure 1 cup of non-dairy milk in the measuring cup, and then I add the dates and I add the vanilla right in the measuring cup. So the kind of non-dairy milk I'm using is this West Soy Organic Unsweetened Plain Soy Milk. This is my favorite kind of store-bought milk because those are the ingredients. It's a very short ingredient list. Just soybeans, organic soybeans, and water. So you can use this, but you can really use any kind of non-dairy milk if you want. So experiment with that. That's the only one I've tried making the muffins with, and I know it works really well. So I've got that in there. And then I've also got the dates here. Hey, Mary, pumpkin pie squares are amazing. Love them. And so do my friends. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the pumpkin pie squares are so easy. And they also just take 1 can of pumpkin, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So we have the dates here. And these are the dates that I used today. And I'm just checking. Oh, that's because I didn't take that text off. Okay. So these are the dates that I'm using today, these Hadley whole Deglet Noir dates. And I usually use medjool dates here, but I ran out and I went to a store that I don't normally go to, and they only had these Deglet Noir dates. And they're smaller than the medjool. And I had really good luck with these. They both work fine. So I give instructions there for how many dates to use if you're using these kind or the medjool. But this is what they look like. And you want to make sure you always take off that little end piece there because you don't want that in your muffin. And then these are, let me get my knife. Let me get a little knife. I just wanted to show you, in case you're not familiar with dates, you cut the side off and then you take this very hard pit out. Very important. You can buy dates already pitted, and that's fine. Just make sure that you cut through each one first to make sure they haven't missed a date, because they do miss the pit. Every once in a while they do miss a pit. And if you miss a pit and you get it in your Vitamix, it's not good. It's loud. You will know it. It will sound like a piece of glass going around in there. All right. So 1 cup non-dairy milk, 4 ounces of dates, and 1 1/4 teaspoons vanilla extract, which I already added, but this is what I used here today. If you don't want to use vanilla extract, you can use a vanilla, the seeds from a vanilla bean instead. Go right on ahead. And then what else was I just going to say? It came into my head and then I forgot. So anyway, this is just to soak the dates to make them soft, because we're going to be putting them in the Vitamix. And the softer they are, the more smooth of a final texture we will get from this. Now, the reason I use dates is because I'm a very whole food emphasized chef. I don't use any concentrated sweeteners like white sugar, brown sugar, even maple syrup, brown rice syrup, agave. I don't use any of that. So that's why I go to dates. Dates are just very naturally sweet. So that's what I use most of the time. Sometimes I'll use some bananas and apples and stuff like that too. So we are going to set these aside, and we will come back to them in a little bit. Oh, Marianne says vanilla powder is amazing. I've never tried vanilla powder. I got to try that. Hey, Debbie. Hi from Marin County. You were just at True North. Oh, yeah. True North is where I teach in Santa Rosa. Okay. So then step 2, we are going to preheat the oven to 350, which I have already done back there. And for this recipe, since these muffins are dark, you'll see when I show you the final muffin, they're kind of dark. So I just put that oven rack, instead of in the middle, I just put it down a little bit so they don't get over browned, because they're already kind of a nice brown color. So in step 2, we are going to get our muffin pan ready, which I have right here. So I just wanted to show you. I've already put all the muffin papers in. If you have a silicone muffin pan instead, that's fine. But this is what I'm using with the parchment paper muffin liners. And this is what they look like. And I got these, you can get these at like kitchen stores here, La Table. Whole Foods sells these. And that's the French side. This is the English side. And they say large baking cups, but they're just standard. So even if it says large, go ahead and get the large. And then right there, I don't know if you could see that, it says non-stick. So that's what we want. If you have regular paper muffin or cupcake liners, they're going to stick because there's no oil in any of this. So make sure you get these or use the silicone. And I already used all of these up. But I just wanted to mention that you can also get individual silicone little situations like this and just set them like on a baking rack. I just bought these years ago because I wanted to test them out, but and then I have my little mini ones in there too. Okay, so Rebecca will put a link to these if you want to check those out in my Amazon store, where I have all my favorite cooking items, even food and cupcake liners and tools and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Linda. Thanks for saying hi. Linda is an old friend of the family. I buy the same muffin liners. They're really nice. They are really nice. They're not, beautiful. They're just kind of boring looking. But if you want to make them cuter, if you're making cupcakes or muffins for kids, put another cuter muffin liner on the outside, and then it will be cute. Okay. Where do you get your It's the Food top? I don't know what that means. Yeah, those are probably pretty easy to find. You can always get them online. Like I said, they're in my store. Okay. So that is step 2 to get our pan ready. And Okay. We don't want to oil those muffin wells, because cooked oil is bad enough on its own. Hot cooked oil is even worse. We want to avoid that. All right. So we're going to get our medium mixing bowl out, and we're going to get on to step 3, which is placing the oats and the millet flour in the bowl. But first, we are going to grind them up. And oh, thanks for putting that link there. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Shane, were you asking where did I get my apron? Oh, yeah, this is a Dr. McDougall apron. It says it's the food. And meaning when people say, oh, these are my issues, complaining about this or sharing their health issues, this is what he says. It's the food. And it really is true. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it's the food. So if you go to drmcdougall.com, they probably have these on there to buy. Okay. Thank you. All right, you guys. So now we're going to move on, and I'm going to make these look much harder to make because I'm talking so much, but they're really not hard to make. They're quite easy. All right. So step 3, we are going to put 3/4 cups of rolled oats into the blender. Now, if you want to buy your flour already pre-ground, you can. I don't usually do that. I always use rolled oats. I don't use the store-bought oat flour, but I did notice the millet flour. Like here's the bag for millet, and here's the millet flour. So you can use the millet flour. I did try one batch with the millet flour. It works just fine. The only thing I don't like about the store-bought flour is it's ground so finely, you don't get the little texture that you get if you buy the whole millet like this. It's like little bird seed. And even when you grind it for 30 to 40 seconds in the Vitamix, you're still going to get a little texture. And I really like that about millet. Why do I use millet? Because we're gluten-free here. And so I don't use any wheat or anything glutinous. So oats most of the time, and combining it with a little different flour gives a better flavor. And millet is just one of my favorites. It doesn't have a strong flavor on its own like quinoa or buckwheat. And it's just, I really love millet. So if you're not used to millet, give it a try. I even eat this for breakfast. It's great. So we're going to put both of these right in there. A Vitamix works really great for this because it's a high-powered blender. If you have a regular blender, just keep blending it. Even when you think it's done, just give it a little bit more. All right, so here we go. I'll take it off and just give it a little shake because it gets kind of stuck in the corners. You can grind yours less if you want a more coarse texture. This is the way I like it. It likes to stick down at the bottom. We're going to use this again, so I'm going to leave it right here. And as you can see, there we have flour. So making your own flour is super easy, especially if you have a Vitamix, and it'll grind anything. It's very powerful. All right. So there we go. Thanks for the links. Okay. So that is the flour. If you want to experiment with another kind of flour, or if you do eat wheat, you can probably use that instead of the millet. But yeah, experiment with different kinds and see what you like. But again, combining flours I think is really interesting. Sometimes when it's just all oats, it can get a little gummy. So, it also might work well instead of the millet is cornmeal because it's got that same kind of gritty texture that's so good. All right, so still on step 3, we are going to add the baking powder, the baking soda, and the pumpkin pie spice. And I didn't measure these out yet, so I'll do that right now. These are my beloved magnetic measuring spoons. Alrighty, so we are going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So if you heard me at the very beginning, these are kind of heavier muffins because we're doing our own flour. We've got pumpkin, which is kind of heavy. The dates are kind of heavy. So we need enough leavening to raise them up. If you don't want to use so much leavening, you can cut it back, but they just won't rise as much. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And the baking powder I'm using is this sodium-free Hain baking powder. This is a little tricky to get in stores. It's a little hit and miss. So I just order 1 or 2 online. And I did look today at the cost of this. It's not cheap. It's like $10, at least at the place I looked. But it's going to take you a long time to use all this. So if you're trying to cut back on your sodium, check that out. Get it, because baking powder and baking sodas both are notoriously high in sodium. The part cornmeal, Shane. Yeah, cornmeal would work too instead of the millet. I would keep the oats as kind of your base flour. All right. And then we're going to put in some baking soda. And again, high in sodium. If you want a sodium-free baking soda substitute, there is one. It's called Energy Baking Soda Substitute. And Rebecca just put the link up there for that. So check. And that is super hard, I think, to find in stores. So definitely order that online. And I think the deal with that is you use twice as much. I forget. It's been a long time since I've used this. I don't bake that much for myself, so I don't use this that much. So I'm just using the regular kind today. But just know that that option is available. All right. So then we're going to put in some pumpkin pie spice, which I thought was really appropriate for this recipe. If you didn't have pumpkin pie spice, you could use cinnamon. You could use, 1 1/4 teaspoons of cinnamon, or you could use like 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom or nutmeg or something like that if you want to mix it up a little. But I'm going kind of traditional here with the pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to do, so that is a 1/2 teaspoon. And then we have like 1 teaspoon, and then we're going to do 1/4. You know, it was expensive. I just bought this pumpkin pie spice for this recipe. I think I bought it because I bought it at a small store. It was like $6 or something. I couldn't believe that. Okay, so this is all of our dry ingredients: the oats, the millet, the baking powder, the baking soda, and the pumpkin pie spice. You always want to mix with a whisk or a fork all your dry ingredients before moving on to make sure mostly that leavening, the baking powder and soda, get evenly distributed so it rises nicely later. All right, so there we go. That is the end of step 3. Now step 4, we're going to get back to the dates, the non-dairy milk, and the vanilla, and we are just going to pour it right into the Vitamix. All those dates have been pitted. Hi, Jennifer. Can I put mixed spice in? Yeah. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I did try a batch when I was testing this with cardamom because I love cardamom, which I even liked better than the nutmeg. So yeah, try some cinnamon, a little cardamom in there. Cardamom is a spice used a lot in Indian cooking. All right, so we're going to blend this until it's nice and smooth. I just remembered. I think my own instructions say to add the pumpkin too, which I just forgot to do, which is fine. So we'll add the pumpkin now. You can blend this first, then add the pumpkin, add it all at once. Doesn't really matter. I'm using the organic pumpkin puree. You don't want to use the pumpkin pie mix because that has sugar and stuff already added to it. Just use pure pumpkin. Sometimes, like Libby's has a brand. It's just, they call it pure pumpkin on the front, so you can use that too. And we are going to use a cup of this. Now, I haven't tried this with home-baked pumpkin, and this is already cooked, I believe. Does it say back there? Organic pumpkin puree, but I believe it is already cooked, yes. So yeah, just make sure you get pure pumpkin. If you want to make it from scratch, maybe just Google it to be sure, but I think it would just be you bake the pumpkin and then you blend it up. Maybe you need to add a little liquid. I'm not sure. I've never done that. This is a 1 cup measuring cup. So I'm just, let's see. That looks good. So we're going to pour this in with the dates, the milk, and the vanilla. And let me get I love these little teeny spatulas. Okay. You know what I was wondering, although I haven't tried it, if you could make these same muffins with canned or freshly cooked sweet potatoes. So if you're not a pumpkin person, but you are a yam or a sweet potato person, that might work as well. Oh, Cranny, can I use sweet potato instead of pumpkin? Yeah. I mean, I think. I haven't tried it. Shane, if you're using cornmeal, what would you do? Read the oat flour in the cornmeal. I think I would just use the same measurements. I'd still use the 3/4 cup oats and the 1/2 cup cornmeal, or maybe a little bit less than 1/2 cup since it's already ground up. I don't know. But I find that like a 1/2 cup of old-fashioned oats is the exact same measurement as oat flour. I compared it. So it's probably the same measurements. Oh, you started experimenting with Professor Torber. Never heard of that. Orange corn polenta. They make a cornmeal also. It is very high in flavonoids. Interesting. Yeah, if you guys have any good products, put them in the comment section there. Okay, so now we're going to go back, blend that pumpkin in. On pretty high speed because we want this to be smooth. All right. Hi, Charlene. Will I be writing a second cookbook? Yes, but it won't be coming out anytime soon, unfortunately. All right, so here we go. You guys can see that, and you'll see it when I pour it out. So now we're going to pour that in. See how smooth that? Oh, let me move my bowl here. See, you can see it. Well, you'll see in a sec how smooth this is. Some people say, oh, I don't ever soak my dates because my Vitamix will just blend it because it's so powerful. You can do that if you want, but I don't want it. I don't want those pieces of dates floating around in here. This likes to stick to the blender, so make sure you get it all out. Okay, where's my stirrer? Look, see how smooth that is? Yeah, so keep blending it until it gets nice and smooth. Now we put the wet in with the dry, and we're just going to stir this until all of the dry disappears. You can also add some chopped walnuts or chopped pecans to this if you like nuts in your muffins, which I do. I love it. I'm not going to do that today, but you can do that. Just know that they won't rise quite as much because those nuts are going to weigh it down a little. I told you guys I did like 8 batches of these. Some with nuts, some without nuts, some with this kind of pumpkin, some with that kind of pumpkin, some with these dates, those dates. Look at that batter. You see that? Nice. Not too thick. Not too thin. Okay. So you don't need an electric mixer or anything. Just use some wooden spoon, or I like these little rice paddles. And then we're going to get our muffin pan back. Okay. And then for this part, you can use a scooper. This is a 2 tablespoon scooper. What I figured, I just had this anyway, but I think what would work best for these is a 3 tablespoon scooper if you want to use a scooper. But you don't have to use a scooper. You can just use a soup spoon as well. And what my technique is, I put kind of a heaping spoonful into each liner. First, and then I will go back. I'm going to use my finger just for speediness here. Try not to get any batter on the metal part of the pan because it will burn while it's cooking, and then it will be hard to wash off. So, and if you do get any on the metal part, just wipe it off before it goes into the oven. So this makes 12 muffins. And then go back again. And this way you will get an even amount in each one. And if it gets kind of on the side of the paper, just help it go back in there. Is this fun for you guys to watch someone bake goodies from afar? It feels very meditative for me right now to know all these people are watching me just stand here doing this. Okay. This makes a lot of batter for just 3/4 cups oats and a 1/2 cup of millet. And there's a bloop. Push back in. All right. Now I still have some left, so I am going to go around again. Hi from New Hampshire. Hi, Sita. Have not seen you in a while. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Annie. All right, so now, and you know, I'll show you with the scooper too. You can do that. It leaves like a little mound though on top, and I'm not sure I love the little mound look, kind of sitting on top of the previous batter, but you can kind of smush it in there. All right, and then just look for ones that look kind of like they need more as we get toward the end here. Now, if you are a batter fiend like me, I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I just love cake batter, cookie batter. I used to, sometimes I get the Jif muffin mix and I just make it and then eat the batter with the raw egg and everything. But I love batter. This is a really yummy batter. And when you try this and you think, oh, it needs to be a little sweeter or a little less sweet, you can just adjust those dates a little bit if you want. Add 1, add 2, take away 1 or 2. Move this. Let me move this. Okay. All right, we're almost there. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There we go. And see these little bloops? Just get them with your finger. Okay, I did pretty good. So we are going to bake these at 350 for, what did I say? 28 to 29 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in my preheated oven here on the rack that is just slightly under center. I don't know if you guys can see my oven. No, you can't. Well, maybe if I put, no. I have these little red silicone, I I don't know what they're called, guards on my oven rack because I have burned myself. Have any of you done that? You go in to reach something and you burn yourself on the oven rack. So they make these little silicone guards that you just put on there so you have less chance of burning yourself. They're not in my Amazon store. I bought them a long time ago. Socorro. Hi, Kathy. I just made the pumpkin pie squares. Love them. We'll make the pumpkin pie squares are just so wonderful. They're so easy. Pumpkin pie squares are for when you don't want to make a pie, but you still want a pumpkin-y something. And I'll just show you guys again. I showed this at the beginning, but here are the pumpkin pie squares. You can add frosting to them, and the recipe's in here as well, or you can just eat them plain. You don't have to worry about making a crust. You just make it in an 8 by 8 inch square pan. Super easy. Okay. So I made these yesterday, and you can see what I mean. They are kind of dark, but that's okay. That's because of the dates and the pumpkin. They're not, well, that one may be a little overcooked. So, but they are delicious. They are not super heavy, dense muffin. I mean, they look a little dense, but they're more kind of cakey. They're just really nice. And you can tell when you do that, that they are cooked through, that you don't want any soggy stuff in there. And you also want to make sure you cool them completely before you eat them to give them a chance to just kind of set up. So cool completely or nearly completely. Hi, Katie. Is there an alternative to millet that will work? I think any other kind of flour would work. I suggested some cornmeal. We're gluten-free here, so whatever you want. I think it would be fine. But if you want that same kind of grittiness that millet gives, then I think cornmeal would be a good one. Hey, Cindy, I have 2 burns on my arm right now from my oven. Yeah, those are awful when you burn yourself like that. So just know they make those little guards out there. You know what I did recently, you guys? I was out hiking on a local trail and I fell. I mean, I've tripped a million times when I'm hiking and walking, and I always catch myself. But I fell. I fell hard. I even hit my head, and not so bad that I had to go to the doctor, but it really scared me. And I know a lot of people fall, especially as we get older, and it was just so scary. So now I kind of get it, like, oh geez. So I'm being more careful when I walk and just watching where I go. There was a lot of rocks around the place I was walking, but it definitely is like getting like a speeding ticket or something. Like it sticks in your head, like to be better and watch out. All right. Oh, you found the oven rack shield. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay. All right, you guys, I think that's it. I don't know what else I would talk about except, as I said, these don't have any nuts in them, but you can add, oh, maybe this is the one that I added nuts to. You can also put like a half a pecan on the top if you want to make it cute. You know, if you're going to an event or holidays, you can, before you put it in, after you fill all the muffin liners, you can just put a little pecan on top. And I think that's it. All right, you guys, share this video if you want other people to see it. Please check out the book. If you already have it and you like it, please leave a positive review on Amazon. And I also sell it on my website. If you want me to sign it, that's the place to get it. And I can sign it to people for a gift. So you can just let me know when you pick it up. Will these double as cakes if you frosted them? Oh, you know what? I did a double layer carrot cake. The recipe's in the book once. And what I found was in this type of baking where it is kind of heavier, it just smashed that frosting. So if you do want to try a double layer, I would just put this in like an 8 by 8 pan and then cut that in half instead of making 2 separate cakes. Does that make sense? because without the saturated fat of like the butter and the shortening that's usually in frosting, it just doesn't hold up. It's too soft. So I think these would make a cake, but don't make it a layer cake. Just make it a single, and then put the frosting off on top. Do I have a ketchup that I use? I have a ketchup recipe in the book that's super easy. Just uses a can of tomato paste. Instead of ketchup is normally loaded with salt and sugar. So instead of salt and sugar, I use a half of an apple, and then you don't need salt because tomato paste is just naturally salty tasting. So check it out. It's on the website and in the book, my ketchup. But I don't have a store-bought ketchup that I like. Yeah, I like them, but they're loaded with salt and sugar. So try making it once. When I make it in my classes, people are always impressed. Like, oh, that actually tastes good. So check that out. All right, you guys, I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you for showing up. This is really fun. I'll be back in, oh, when am I coming back? September, no, what month are we in? November. November 21st, I will be doing my next demo as part of Chef AJ's Thanksgiving extravaganza, where there'll be 8 different chefs preparing food. So that'll give you lots of good ideas for Thanksgiving and beyond. And I just sent that information out in my newsletter yesterday. So if you want that, it's in the newsletter, or you can email me, Kathy@straightupfood.com, and I will send that to you. And all right, you guys, thank you so much. And I will see you soon. Bye.